Alright guys, and with that we jump into today's finals, a PvP between, in the top left corner of Foxtrot Labs, it is Arnovic from none other than ATcm.
And in the bottom right corner we have the pink Protoss playing for team Altijd Raak met Sjaak. It is none other than Blubneus, also known as Miauw.
Miauw. Pretty cool, these players making it all the way to the finals. Of course they have been playing in previous qualifiers, but I'm not sure, actually I'm sure that neither of them has made it all the way to the finals before. So this is a first for both of them, and one of them actually will qualify for DSCL Bootcamp, the coaching event where 6 players get coaching from 2 professionals for a full weekend. We're going to have lots of fun. Actually, I'm now also sure that on the Saturday evening, we, the players and coaches, will be going out into Nijmegen City Center for some drinks, maybe a couple of beers, maybe some wine for the people who like wine. And I will be posting about where we're going that evening. So if you want to meet up with us, with the coaches, with the pros, then come to join us at the bar in Nijmegen where we'll be at. And I'll be posting that on the website and on Twitter. So keep an eye on us, dscl.nl, and of course twitter.com/dscleague. And don't forget about YouTube as well, because all the videos will be uploaded to YouTube. Maybe even a short video of what happened on Saturday evening during bootcamp. Looking forward to some shenanigans there.
What happens in Nijmegen stays in Nijmegen?
Yeah, and on the internet.
And on the internet, yeah, of course.
Alright, standard openers so far. Double gas though for Arnovic. So, yeah, I imagine he has no probe out on the map or anything, so maybe it's going to be a Stargate inside of his own base, or maybe he's going, I don't know, what other options does he have? Go for a quick robo, of course, but he's gathering a lot of gas and he's going to use it on something.
And Blubneus is a little bit quicker with his gateway and cybernetics score because he didn't have to build that second simulator.
Yep.
So he's starting up his warp gate research now, just doing all the standard things. Has a zealot patrolling the ramp of his base, but I don't think either player has scouted the other yet. No, there's been no scouting whatsoever, so both players are confident that regardless of what the opponent throws at them, they will have an appropriate response without having to scout it in advance.
Alright, a Stalker and Zealot for Blubneus, for Miauw, sorry, pushing out across the map now. And they will be finding one sentry. That is where a lot of the gas that Arnovic was mining was going into. And the mothership core. Of course, together they can hold the ramp for a little bit. But Stalker, Zealot, a lot more damage dealing than a mothership core and sentry. Especially if the mothership core flies off for a scouting mission, which it appears it does.
There's also a reinforcing pylon coming up for Miauw.
Wow.
There's a probe with his push, so he can place an additional pylon. And it's going to depend on this sentry getting the force field, but it's now moving back to the mineral line again. On the other hand, there's 2 stalkers out now for Arnovic, so I think he should be able to hold this.
One
he does
stalker
let
gets
his
up.
opponent up the ramp, but he simply has a numbers advantage now. It's 2 stalker and a sentry against a stalker and a zealot.
But back home, warp gates, or 3 warp gates now morphing in for Miauw. Sorry, goddammit. So 3 more units will be warping inside of the main base very soon, I guess. Oh, actually that mechanic was taken out of the game, right? So you can no longer warp it on the high ground.
No, so if Arnovic is very cheeky, you could move a sentry around to force field the ramp and still block off reinforcements. Probes being pulled, and quite a few probes are going down, but he is pushing this back. But the question is at what cost? Because there's a lot of probes that are being killed.
Yeah,
wow, it's
lots.
a massacre.
Wow. Okay, and more units. Oh my god. Okay, this is a very tough position for Arnovic already. And the
sentry goes down, but here's photon overcharge, so I think for now it should be pushed back.
Yeah, that's actually very significant that he sent out his mothership core earlier, so that there was no photon overcharge in the first instance that all these units moved in. So that definitely forced a response from the probes, and well, we know how that ended. Let me check out. 9 probes have been killed, so that's yeah, that's painful.
So there's a probe from Arnovic that snuck his way into Miauw's base. It's now hiding in the top left corner. So he could make a pylon there if he survives this and go for some counter attacking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it looks like it's kind of stabilized. Although, yeah, okay. So the first immortal now being worked on. When that pops out, the push is definitely going to end. Okay, the photon overcharge ends now. I think that if Miauw wants to do damage, it has to be around this time before the immortal pops out and before this extra warp gate has arrived.
Is getting another probe kill. He could just focus on killing a few probes because there's only 13 probes for Arnovic at the moment. So if you reduce that to 10 or less, but Miauw is deciding to pull back. I think he did quite a bit of damage. If you look at the work count, 13 against 24. Of course, Arnovic does have the immortal now that can be used in a counter attack if he wants to, but his economic situation is not very good. We see that Arnovic is making use of his hidden probe to construct a pylon in his opponent's base, and if he decides to push out, this could be a very helpful asset.
Definitely, yes, but Miauw now taking the liberty of taking a Nexus, taking an expansion, thinking, well, I've done so much economic damage, I think I can defend whatever you're going to be throwing against me now. Maybe you'll even stick home and defend, and I'll just take that liberty, take the opportunity to
Miauw built a pylon close to where Arnovic had his pylon. Once Zealot was warped in by Arnovic, it got one probe kill, now gets a second, maybe get a third, gets the third kill. So one probe, pylon and a Zealot lost for 3 probe kills. I don't think that was really worth it.
Nope.
But it was a nice idea.
Nice idea, definitely, but executed at a time at which Blubneus or Miauw was just sitting back comfortably at his main base, so he had time to defend that. Had it come at a time at which there was something else to defend, maybe a push at the front, it might have been more difficult to deal with.
Also, he only warped in a single Zealot. If he had warped in 3, he could have gotten quite a few more probe kills before they got taken out.
Yep. Alright, this trail of pylons now also getting taken out, but that was kind of to be expected. It does supply block Miauw though, and he's only building 1 pylon, so, oh, there we go, a Nexus finishes up, and that also gives 10 supply, right?
That is a tricky matter. If you have a lot of proxy pylons out on the map, then you just look at your supply and you think, I'm fine, but then your opponent sends a little force to take out all the pylons, and suddenly you're quite a bit in the red. So, as a Protoss, of course, you would prefer to have backup pylons for those, but then again, these cost resources. So, yeah, what should you do? Should you rely on these proxy pylons to provide supply for you, or should you build backup pylons in your main so that if they get taken out, you won't get supply blocked? I guess this is one of the questions that hopefully Grubby will answer for us in the DSCL Bootcamp. How you should approach these dilemmas.
Yeah, definitely so. And of course, if the coaches don't go and answer your question, you can ask the question yourself. There's different themes that we'll be discussing, especially on Saturday. And do send in questions via Twitter, and the best questions will get asked to the coaches. Like, Grubby, how do you make sure that your hair is always the way it should be? Stuff like that. It's very important esports related questions. We'll ask them to the coaches, and they get a chance to respond on the stream. So if you're lucky and you have a very tough question that you're dealing with, you can have it answered on the stream. Oh, and I nearly forgot to mention something. If your question gets mentioned, or if you send in a question to begin with, you get a chance to win lots and lots of goodies and hardware from not only Cooler Master but also Blizzard, and our to-be-announced new sponsor for 2015. So definitely stick around the DSCL Bootcamp chat and broadcast if you want to win lots of goodies and stuff.
Both players currently scouting each other with hallucinated phoenixes. Both have gone for a Twilight Council, both getting +1 weapons as well. And we see that Miauw is getting charge on his Twilight Council, while Arnovic is getting a Templar Archive, so they both might still be going in the same direction as Zealot Archon. Yep, Templar Archives now also coming down for Miauw. Now we just need Arnovic to start charge, and there we go, just on cue. And both players are really going into the same direction, but we still have the worker leads for Miauw as a result of that early game aggression. It's currently 50 probes against 37, and the third base coming up for the pink Protoss player.
Yep, so we still see Miauw taking or using that early game advantage to do stuff like getting a third before his opponent, he's also a bit behind in a bit ahead in the upgrade department. We're also already working on +2 attack and having nearly finished the charge. But if he lets Arnovic mud about too long, then his early game advantage will basically level out, as of course upgrades, when they're finished. So, and the probe disadvantage is also quite significant still, but it's no longer Arnovic is no longer down to like 10 probes, for example. So he's definitely in this game, and Blubneus or Miauw has to make sure that he doesn't give too much time to Arnovic to get back in it.
Exactly. Both players now ramping up the production. We just saw Miauw completing about 5 gateways. Arnovic is currently only building 2 because his economy isn't quite as strong, but it is interesting to see both players playing out pretty much the same style, but you do really see the effects of that early game damage on exactly how players are doing the style.
Arnovic is furiously chrono boosting his upgrades, by the way, so he's nearly caught up to Miauw in terms of his attack upgrades. And if he keeps chrono boosting, he'll probably overtake him. So that's something that, like I said, Miauw has to take care of. He hasn't finished his opponent off, and he shouldn't be thinking, well, I'll finish him off later, I can give him all the time I want. No, there we go. A push out comes from Miauw, and he probably thinks, well, I'm still ahead right now. Let's make my aheadness work for me. Lots of Miauw, by the way.
Miauw seems to be pushing out with the +2 completing. Depending on exactly when he hits, he might have a very short window. It's only about 40 seconds, 40 in-game seconds, so it's more like 32 actual seconds. That his opponent doesn't have the +2 attack upgrade yet, but this window is very short, very quickly closing. And there's just 20 in-game seconds remaining, and I think that timing window has closed.
All right, so no upgrade difference. When the battle happens, when the fight happens, here we go. Okay, pushing into the third. I think Miauw thinks that this is a good position to pressure his opponent. He could actually force field the ramp if Miauw, or is Arnovic just not careful? No, okay, he's down. But the position for Arnovic is very tough because he's stuck behind his own nexus.
Arnovic has very few zealots. He only has 2 zealots. He's warping in more now, but he hardly has any meat in front of his expensive units, the Immortals and the Archons, while his opponent has a total number of 14 zealots.
Alright, here comes the meat shield. And they all have charge, of course. Some of them triggering on the Nexus. Okay, ooh, lots of them charging forward, but they charged forward so far that they kind of lost their connection to the main army. And we see all the zealots melting, and actually Miauw's army now on the retreat. Wow.
That's a very good defense for Arnovic. The army supply was very much in favor of his opponent, but he managed to hold on. He shouldn't overextend now because the army of Miauw is still stronger, but in a defensive position, Arnovic can hold on for longer. He just shouldn't get overconfident.
Nope, definitely right. There's no units to force the issue on either side. For example, Colossi or Tempest, stuff like that. They can really force an issue because they can shoot from afar and do damage. But this is kind of like a standoff, and like you said, the defender's advantage really plays up here. Let's see who.
So Miauw is sending some zealots to the third of Arnovic.
A storm, maybe? No.
Oh, that's not a good.
A feedback on the Archon does 50 damage? No,
you cannot feedback an Archon that doesn't have any energy.
That's silly.
Maybe a sentry or so.
Maybe it was a sentry and it died, and that's why I didn't see it. Right. You're probably right. Alright, this is more of a serious push. Lots of Immortals now also firing for Miauw, and this is starting to look difficult because the quality of units for Miauw is now so much higher than that of Arnovic. I think Miauw can
again, with some probes and zealots flanking it from the sides, he's pushing it back again. But still, he has to be careful not to overextend. While this was going on, there was a little bit of a battle for the third. That's where eventually these zealots came to flank, because Arnovic did win this battle. And if you see the third, it barely survived. There were some stalkers there that were killed by the zealots, and when they were done, they could reinforce the main army. But now Miauw can just move to that to the third, click his Immortals on it for 1 second and kill it, and then just go home. I think because he has a fourth of his own that is just completed to gold. I think if he just snipes the third, tries not to lose anything, and then heads home, he should be in a very comfortable position, and that might be what he's going to do.
Exactly. I think you're right here, and I think there's nothing you can do. There's no mothership core for a recall, but I think the position that Arnovic is so bad that he can actually keep on attacking. And look at the, well, this is kind of a meaty Michu with all these Archons, and yeah, I think this might actually be it. I think he can just push on and win this game.
Yeah, he can. There's no Zealots left for Arnovic, just 4 Archons and 3 Immortals. 5 Archons now. And if you look at the army for Miauw, it's just so much bigger.
Yep.
Upgrades, 1 upgrade advantage for Miauw as well, so this will be the final battle, even though all the Zealots for Miauw are stuck for a long time. There's just way too much.
Way too much. This is definitely... Oh, look at this. Dancing Immortals.
You don't see that very often. And a Grats from Arnovic, and Blubneus takes the first game in this best of 5 and is 1 step out of 3 towards qualifying for the DSCL Bootcamp.
Yep. This is a best of 5, like you just said, so you need to win 3 games. That is a lot. Actually, I'm in my, like I said, in my painting outfit, and it's getting cold. I need some more games to keep me warm.
Yeah, you should bounce up and down on your chair like you typically do when casting exciting games.
Or playing exciting games.
Or that, yeah. I've not seen that as often.
Caster is ready. This is still going very smooth, apart from that one game where unfortunately is no best game crashed. All the other matches have been going very smoothly, and once again, we're back in the lobby. One of the players ready. The other needs 1 second maybe to tweak his mouse. Maybe a grain of sand got caught between one of the gliders of his mouse and the mouse pad. That's always very annoying.
It was.
You need to fix that.
When you're eating paper notes, then there's lots of crumbs that can get stuck on your mouse pad. It's you want to eat paper notes because, well, paper notes. but also when you're playing, then it does influence your mousing capabilities. So it's always a difficult time. The September, October, November periods.
Definitely, yeah. My office too has fallen prey to the Sintox virus. Everywhere is jars with paper notes, and although I managed to stay away from them for a couple of days, in the end I succumbed to them, and I ate nearly half a jar of candy there. So, well, back to the gym for me, I guess.
We see that Blubneus is having some issues with his throat. He has to get tissues and strepsils and stuff.
Oh, it sucks. Who is that we're hearing? I know who it is, but...
That's Gwen, my daughter.
Hi, Gwen. Oh, she can't hear us, right?
No, she cannot hear. She's currently arranging a bunch of coins and apparently was not completely satisfied with how they were laid out.
Damn your coins. I've got a riddle for your daughter there. It's a mathematical riddle. Maybe you know it already, but also I'm not sure if she can solve it because it took me a week, so it might be a bit early for her. Once we're live in the game, I'll share the riddle with you guys, so people back home in the chat can also try and solve the riddle. It's really a fun riddle. I love it. Catalina is, by the way, is the next map. And Blubneus currently up 1 game. Let me set the score there. So 1 game for Blubneus. Oh. Nope. Someone was playing as Terran. Alright, okay, this gives me time to share the riddle.
Played as Terran. Blubneus played as Terran. He wanted to switch it up, but that isn't really happening. Would have been nice because we would have actually had a Terran in the finals, but...
Yep. But I don't think he would have won as Terran. So then we still wouldn't have had a Terran there. Alright. Okay, here's the riddle, right?
Good to catch your opponent off guard. Okay,
definitely. Yeah, it's like, what? An engineering bay right next to my Nexus? What is this?
Tell us a riddle.
Riddle, here we go. Okay, next game actually already starting, but... Okay, so you have 12 coins, just like your daughter, right? 12 coins.
Oh, I know where this is going, yeah.
Right. Okay. So and they're all very similar. You can't see or feel the difference, but one of them is slightly heavier or slightly lighter than the rest of the 12 coins. And you have a classic scale, and you can measure 3 times. And after measuring 3 times, so you can place coins on either side of the scales. And after measuring 3 times, you have to know which coin is heavier or lighter, and also whether it is heavier or lighter. So good luck with that.
Yeah, I heard this one, I think when I was 17 or so, at math camp, of course, because that's where you hear the subtitles.
Nice. Did you solve it? Probably, right?
I think we were actually, we got the puzzle as a group in some activity that we did. I think we solved it in the end. I don't remember what the solution was, but you have several of these. You have a bunch of coins and try to determine which one is heavier or lighter. And this variant is actually one of the trickier ones to solve.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it took me a week. My brother got it in a couple of hours, but he also studied math at the time, so maybe that has something to do with it. Alright, cool. For the people just tuning in, this is the second game in the finals of today. Best of 5. Blubneus, otherwise known as Miauw, is currently up 1 game in this PvP. He is over here in the, let's say, well, a 5 o'clock position. Bottom right corner of the map. 3-player map, Catalina. Doing the usual, building his gateway. And on the other side of the map, 9 o'clock position, it is Arnovic. He just lost the previous game. So he's probably scratching his ears thinking, I need to change something up. He basically, the cause of him losing the game is clear. He took a lot of damage early game, and I think in the end, actually I'm 100% sure in the end that is what cost him the game, because when the battle happened, when both players met, they went for the exact same strategies, Zealot Archon. But if you have less economy, you're just gonna have less Zealot Archon, and less Zealot Archon versus more Zealot Archon. That just wins the game for the more Zealot Archon.
Despite that, Arnovic has some pretty good defense. He held off the attack for quite a long time. So if he would have had more units, then that would have been a completely different game. And if we look at what's currently going on, we see that Miauw has 2 assimilators, 2 probes in one and 1 in the other. And Arnovic has also 2 assimilators, but he is fully utilizing them with the 3 probes in each of them. Both players getting the cybernetics core at approximately the same time. I see that Miauw also has completely filled out his assimilators. So it's all very similar. There's some slight differences, but it's nothing major just yet.
Cool. Do we see gateway research starting right away? Yes, for both players. Also a sentry for Arnovic, and likely a sentry. Oh, it's a stalker for Miauw here. Oh.
Yeah, so we may see Miauw going on the offensive once again early on, while Arnovic will try to stay a little bit more defensive with his sentry.
Yeah, well, I can't blame Miauw for trying, because the last game he did a lot of damage with his stalker, Zealot, and then later on more stalkers.
Miauw is scouting with a probe, and he actually saw everything, saw the second gateway being done. Also a Stargate coming out of Miauw, so he's going to change it up a little bit. He's moving out with his stalker right now, and in the meantime we see that Arnovic is moving his mothership core across the map to scout. Stalker from Miauw is coming back, so both players are moving around the map a little bit, but nothing too aggressive just yet.
I think it's kind of dangerous to move out with your mothership core like this, right? I mean, you see what happens if it's out on the map while you get pushed by that first stalker and Zealot.
Or if a stalker just catches it in the middle of the map. There wasn't enough energy for a recall, so
exactly, right.
Could have been dangerous, but it's safely scouted. What I would guess is the logical position to proxy a Stargate on this map, and then went home again. So he knows that if there's Stargate play coming out, it's not coming out from very close by. Of course, we do see that the Stargate is happily churning out phoenixes.
Alright, this probie is gonna scout and then die. It did see a phoenix though.
Did he have it selected when... That's always the question.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. So I don't think he saw the phoenix. And this one Phoenix, of course, can do nothing more than scout. There's no overlords to shoot at, nor are there any Colossi.
There's 2 Stalkers in the mineral line for Arnovic, so that'll drive back this Phoenix quite effectively.
Oh, there's of course the Mothership Core. Yeah, you can shoot that.
He did shoot the Mothership Core, which does show that it's not a hallucinated Phoenix. That's quite important. Of course, if Arnovic was really paying attention, he could see the amount of damage that the Stalkers did to it and conclude that it... Speaking of hallucinations, look at what's happening in the main of Miauw. There's a Colossus coming in.
That's funny.
Just being hallucinated. I don't think that'll trick anyone, but it's an interesting way to scout. Both players taking their natural expansion. Arnovic is a bit ahead with that, with it finishing up just now. And Miauw is commenting on the scouting Colossus.
That was pretty cool.
I do hope that he realized that was actually a fake and that wasn't really a scouting Colossus. But
I think he must have realized that.
You see it in the death animation. You see if it's hallucinated, it goes up in a poof of bluish smoke. Bluish poofiness, yes. Also, it takes more damage, so it dies more quickly. Normally, Phoenixes take a long time to kill a Colossus, but when it's hallucinated.
The Phoenix numbers have risen to 4, which is a number at which you can start killing probes very efficiently. Even more efficiently than before. But there's Stalkers in both mineral lines. But I think even Stalker's gonna have to be careful. One Stalker and a couple of sentries here might be vulnerable, especially if a 5th...
yeah, but he could trigger for an overcharge there, and then he's completely safe. Then he would maybe lose a sentry or 2, but at the expense of all the Phoenixes, that's a trade he'd be willing to make, because it really removes all the pressure. Gets 2 probes and takes some hull damage on the Phoenix. That's a decent trade, I guess.
Probe from Arnovic, Observer, scouting the entire base of Miauw. Knows exactly what's going up, going down, going sideways as well.
Blink coming up for Arnovic. And the Twilight Council now coming up for Miauw, as well as 3 gateways, and he's also getting +1 attack, while Arnovic has only just started his forge for his attack upgrade.
Yep, alright. Immortals coming out from Miauw now. No sign yet of him moving up to Colossi. And the Twilight Council on both sides... Actually, well, no, there's not going to be any similar strategies to the previous game, because there's Blink on one side, so no Zealot Archon focus there. Nor will
Phoenixes scooped into the main, got 2 probe kills, and then went out again when the Stalkers came to defend.
Cool. This is a very good point of these Phoenixes, that not only that they can do some damage every now and then, that is basically a bonus. The real thing that they do is scout and make sure that your opponent can't freely leave his base. And we see exactly that. All of Arnovic's army units are positioned in his mineral lines. And if we look at Arnovic's vision on the map, we see that it is very, very limited indeed. There's just this... Actually, no, is that... No. The Observer also died, so there's no vision for Arnovic on the map, whereas if we take a look at Blubneus' vision, well, he has these Phoenixes dancing around his opponent's base. So he gets information, and information...
And he has an Observer just flying around, so that also helps.
Also helps. Alright.
Templar Archive has completed for Arnovic. It's about to complete for Miauw. Also Charge coming up for Miauw. Phoenix is poking in just again. Take off the shields of the Observer of Arnovic, but they have to pull out, and Miauw loses his Observer in return.
Have you ever seen a Templar get lifted?
Not that I can actively recall. Probably. I mean, I've seen so many Starcraft games, and lifting a Templar isn't really that an unusual thing to do if you can find one.
We might see that. Phoenix is coming in from behind in the natural. There's one Templar in the mineral line.
Yeah, I guess you don't see it being lifted for very long because it dies pretty quickly. So if it does anything funny, you don't really see much out of it. There's a 3rd base coming up for Miauw, and Arnovic is scouting it instantly with his hallucinated Phoenix.
Yep. Arnovic is preparing to move out because he's building static defense in his mineral lines. So what he wants to do is give himself the freedom to move out with his units, which is exactly what we're seeing right now. So I'm guessing we're going to see some skirmishes in the near future.
Yeah, and Miauw is also out on the map. He's making reinforcement pylons, so... Arnovic is actually circumventing the army of Miauw, but Miauw is pulling back. You could see a clash at any point time warp goes down, but the army
no
manages to
avail.
get out of it. Single zealot could get taken out. Yep, there we go. Templar could get a feedback and gets a feedback on the motion square. That's very nice. And Arnovic makes sure to reunite his army. Now goes for the engagement. I'm not sure if he should take it because there's 3 Archons against just 1. But some reinforcement zealots come in and the immediate threat has been neutralized.
Yep. We see supplies are very, very even. But Arnovic's army is definitely smaller because he's behind in supply and he's ahead in worker count. So his net army size is quite significantly smaller, I would say, than that of Miauw. I think we're gonna see that play a role in this engagement. Definitely, yes. So the meat shield is now gone, and all these high-tech units from Arnovic are gonna get killed.
Arnovic is getting rolled over, and there's lots of zealots still alive chasing these immortals. And after the zealots, there's still 3 Archons and 4 immortals for Miauw. He does decide not to engage into the Photon Overcharge Nexus. It's probably a good idea because, after all, he does have his 3rd base up while Arnovic does not, so he doesn't have to force the engagement.
Ooh, will he? Yeah. Oh, he got a feedback on another Templar there. Good stuff, but I really think that oh, there we go. He got the Phoenixes in to take the charge of the Nexus, and I think this is it. I think there's nothing else that Arnovic can do.
No, there's simply not enough defense.
Pulling the probes.
Probes are coming off, but that's not really going to make a dent.
No. Looks like it's gonna be 2-0 for Blubneus here. Yep. On the other side, oh, we see some attack action on the other side of the map. There was probably a warp in there, but no matter. Blubneus, god damn it, Miauw wins the 2nd game, so it's 2-0. That means that the next game, starting from the next game, all games will be match point games.
Match points.
Definitely. Oh man. I might be mistaken, but it could be that Blubneus is also in the same group of people that actually our previous winner is in. So RBVH. I'm definitely sure that RBVH is also from Nijmegen. So they might actually know each other. So that could be the 2nd player from Nijmegen to qualify. That's insane.
Well, at least they don't have to travel very far to get to the boot camp.
True, nor will they have to get a hostel or hotel or get sleeping arrangements somewhere, because they can just go back home and sleep there. Very comfortable. Yep. Alright. Everybody, Protoss, everybody ready? The game is loading up. Merry-go-round. 3-player map will be the next map. Let me check in the chat, by the way, if people have already solved the riddle that I...
I'm not sure if they actually started it.
Okay. No, I don't think... Because otherwise that would be the only topic people talking about, I think.
We're on the loading screen for Mega Rounds. This could be the final map if Miauw takes another game.
Oh, yeah, oh, I got that wrong. There we go. Alright, jumping into the game here. And the 11 o'clock position on merry-go-round. Interesting position, by the way. We'll talk about that later. It is Arnovic from ATcm.
And on the other side of the map, the 1:30, 2 o'clock position or so, from Team Machak, it is Blubneus, aka Miauw.
Yup. And the positions on the map are so that expanding, which is always difficult in PvP, is more difficult for Blubneus than it is for Arnovic. Although in PvP, no units can warp in anywhere, so it's not that big of a deal where your expansion is in relation to your opponent's base. But still, if you're in the path of a push from your opponent, you don't want that with your expansions.
Yes, but I don't think it'll play a very big difference. Most of the game will revolve around probably the area on that high ground above the watchtower, or the watchtower area. That will be the main fighting zones, I think, because that's the direct path from one base to the other.
I see some people in the chat, by the way, discussing or saying that, oh sure, I'll come by Nijmegen and say hi at DSCL Bootcamp. Unfortunately, like most of you know, the whole event will take place in my house, in my living room. And that is not all too big, and there's going to be 6 players there, 2 coaches. There's going to be 8 crew members in total in my house. So my house is going to be very, very full. So unfortunately, there is no way that people can come by at the event, at the venue itself.
I think he was talking about the bar trip on Saturday evening, because he said something about that he would be coming to Nijmegen, but that was just after you mentioned the bar and getting drunk with everyone.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly my point. Although you can't come by during the day, at night on Saturday evening, we'll go into town, have some drinks with everyone, and everybody's welcome to join there. I'll post details about that on the website as soon as they're definitive. Might be about a week until I post that, but you can write Saturday evening down in your agenda if you want to meet Grubby, meet Yona, meet all the people that qualified for DSCL.
Meet Frank.
Oh, meet me. Alright. Standard games again so far. Once again, a Sentry from Arnovic as his first unit. That is apparently his go-to unit in PvP. Again, Stalkers from Blubneus, from Miauw here.
We see a little bit of probe skirmish going around at the natural of Arnovic. Miauw is preventing any expansion from going down right now, but I don't think Arnovic wants to place it right at this point. Now the probe will go into the main to see what's going on. A quick Twilight Council coming out of Arnovic, and the scouting probe for Miauw was killed, I believe. Did he see the Twilight Council? No, he didn't.
No. Actually, we saw Arnovic pull down a couple of probes that were going into the assimilator, actually, to meet up with the scouting probe, just to make sure that the Twilight Council wasn't scouted. But that was kind of a very obvious move, to even send in probes that could otherwise have been mining to prevent scouting up there. So maybe Miauw has been tipped off and will now send his mothership core, here we go, to the top of the base, and I think he will scout the... yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Also, Arnovic, with moving probes back to his assimilator, made a little error and moved 5 probes in instead of 3. He fixed it now that the mothership core that came by, and his attention was again pulled towards this area.
Right.
But he did lose a little bit of mineral income. He still has a probe idle next to the Twilight Council. He is going to go for a Dark Shrine, and he puts it on the other side of his base, since he knows that Miauw has his mothership core on the side of the Twilight Council.
The Twilight Council was very early, so is there anything else this could have been?
It could have been Blink, I guess, but we see that Miauw is preparing for potential Dark Templars by getting a Robo. He's getting a Forge, so he could place cannons if he wants to.
I do think that Miauw has deduced that the Dark Templar is what Arnovic was going for, because of course seeing a building in your opponent's base at a timing which usually isn't there reveals something about what that building is going to be used for. And of course you could warp in a Twilight Council very, very early to start your Blink upgrade. But if you have hardly any Stalkers to use that Blink upgrade with, then it's you're a bit early. But Dark Templar, on the other hand, you want them out very early, before your opponent has any detection. And I think that Miauw has figured that out. Like you said, there's an observer already inside his base, and he's not sending it across the map. He is in fact sending it to the front of his natural here.
Arnovic did make 2 Dark Templars, and I don't think they're going to do anything, because they're running in now one at a time. Force fields. He doesn't manage to lock it in, so that's a little victory, or at least prevention of a defeat, I guess is the better term for Arnovic, as he makes sure that these Dark Templars are coming out alive to fight another day. And so where did the observer for Miauw is still there. Dark Templars are moving around the map again, just checking the third, seeing that's not there. So that didn't do anything. Let's see if that costs Arnovic any headway in his economy. It's currently 37 probes for Arnovic against 41. 38 to 41 now, so there's a little probe deficit, but nothing too significant. Both players are at 2 bases. If we look at the upgrades, we do see that Miauw already has +1, getting +2, while Arnovic has just started +1. Also, charge is coming up for Miauw, while Arnovic hasn't started that yet, but he already is making his Templar Archive, so little advantage for Miauw, I would say, but nothing that cannot be overcome.
Nope, you're right, this game is definitely anyone's pick. It's now 66 supply versus 66 supply, so even if I've ever seen it. And although, yeah, like we said, Arnovic has been thwarted, the game has normalized.
Did take out a probe from his opponent that was scouting around his base. Not a probe, sorry, an observer, so that's a small victory. A Warp Prism coming out of Arnovic. We've not seen that before in this series. So he may try to do some two-pronged attacks or just some harassment with it. So we'll have to see where it goes once it completes.
Oh, I know. It's gonna be Colossus drop.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I want to see that. Unfortunately, for that we would need a robotics bay, and that does not exist.
Okay, I think the
It's going to be storm drops.
Yeah, the hallucinated Phoenix actually flew in just as the Templar were loading up into the Warp Prism. So Blubneus, Miauw might be actually tipped off as to what's going on. Is he though? Is he preparing for this storm drop?
The storm is not quite there yet. He should wait a little bit before flying in. Otherwise, these Templar will just be standing in the mineral line, thinking that they want to storm, but not being able to.
Silly.
10 seconds remain. There's a cannon about to complete in the mineral line of Miauw. In the meantime, Miauw is pushing out with a scary-looking force, so there's not that much to defend for.
Here we go, storm drop.
Oh.
Alright, 1 Templar storm, 2 Templar storm. Oh, wow. Okay.
Nice, that's a lot of probe kills. He loses the Warp Prism.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a costly attack, but if you look at the work counts,
12 probes killed.
It's 55 against 34. Wow.
Yeah, that's significant.
A big probe lead.
Yeah. I think Blubneus or Miauw now knows that he has to make something happen, because if he sits on his ass, then his disadvantage will do what the disadvantage of Arnovic did to him in the first game. So it's time to make something move, make something happen, and set his opponent back at least as far as Arnovic was, as Miauw was set back just now.
Here comes the engagement. The army for Miauw is very large. Photon overcharge goes down. Probes are being pulled off the line, but they're stuck behind the force field and the rest of the army. I think this is a very good engagement for Miauw actually. He's doing quite a bit of damage, but
reinforcement zealots.
The reinforcement zealots will be enough to push the army of Arnovic back, and the natural is a fair game now.
Yep, it will go down. This is looking terrible actually for Arnovic. Oh, nice blocks off the probes from retreating. This is well, I don't want to go ahead. Don't want to call the thing. Alright. I don't want to be too fast, but I think this is game.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, if almost impossible, to get back from this position.
Right, so what happened? There was a successful storm drop. Just the amount of units and the position at the top of the ramp was a problem for Arnovic, right?
Basically just the amount of units. The army for Miauw is just bigger, and it has 1 attack upgrade more. So even though the economy for Miauw was harmed quite a bit by the storm drop, there was already a standing army that was strong enough to do this damage. And Arnovic realizes that. He says, "Grats, well played. Have fun at the bootcamp," and he taps out as Miauw takes the series 3-0.